Hi, this is Trinesha and today I wanted to talk about waiting on God. So, what made me want to talk about waiting on God is earlier today, I was heading home from work. I was in the office today. So, as I go in to the office and when I come home from the office, the thing that I like to do the most is listening to sermons. So, on my podcast, I have like different, churches or different pastors and I put the message on there and I will listen to it or I'll do like a course or something like something that's like a lecture or something like that. I know I sound like such a nerd, but I like to learn as much stuff as I possibly can. And what better way to learn than through God? So if there's something that I can learn, especially about God, I want to know what it is. I want to build the relationship that I have with him in any way that I possibly can. And so, as I'm listening to this sermon about fasting, and it was about, building your relationship with God, and the pastor talks about waiting, but not waiting in the way that you think. It was more about when you're waiting in your waiting season. But he didn't call it a waiting season. He said when you are speaking to God and you ask him a question and he has you wait on the answer. And it really made me think about waiting on God. It made me think about how there's times that I've prayed and I've asked God for discernment and God hasn't said anything. Or there was a time where he told me to wait. And when this pastor said this, I was like, this is the answer I was looking for then. But I know now for the future. So now, like when I move throughout my life, when I'm going forward, I don't have to try to seek an answer to this. When God is saying wait or God is not saying anything, he's telling me to stay still. He's telling me to not do anything. He's telling me that he wants me to figure it out on my own. He wants this to be the thing that strengthens me in this area. This is a lesson that I need to learn. If God intended for me to have every single answer so simply, then he would just give me every single answer right away. Sometimes there are things that I have to learn, and if God gives me the answer to it, I'm not going to be able to be built into the person that God wants me to be. I'm not going to be able to strengthen myself in areas that God intends for me to be strengthened. In that season, I might need to learn something, but I can't learn it if God gives me the answer to it. I have to learn it so I can use it for the future. Just like this. If God would have said, wait and don't do anything, then I would have waited and not done anything. And I wouldn't have learned all the lessons that God taught me through that season. If I would have said, hey, God, should I take this job or not? And God said, don't take it or take it and stay there for 3 months, then I would be like, what? You know, and I'd be like, well, God wanted me to leave anyway, so I'm just gonna go. You know how we try to make excuses and we try to come up with things and fill in words in God's mouth that he didn't say. So sometimes I feel like God doesn't give us an answer because he wants us to figure it out. He wants us to learn things that we wouldn't learn any other way. Like if he gave us the answer to it, there wouldn't be any reason for us to just hold on to that thing, or wouldn't be any reason for us to learn about, what not to do in certain situations, or how to build strength and patience, or whatever else it is that you're trying to learn or God's trying to teach you in that season. And so when the pastor said that when God tells you to wait and you're thinking, oh, I don't need to wait, I can just go ahead and just do it since God's not giving me a no, or God's saying that I can wait on this. He said that sometimes when God's telling you to wait, it's not that he's saying wait for the person or wait, for whatever else it is. Sometimes God's telling you to wait because he's trying to build you in that season. Sometimes he wants you to stay where you are in that season. So sometimes like God might say like wait 3 months or something. And maybe he doesn't mean wait 3 months for the person. Maybe he means wait 3 months so that he can build in you something that no other person can tear from you. No other person can strengthen that, can break that strength that God built you to if you wait in that season. Maybe he's saying wait because in this season, while you're learning more about yourself, while you're growing, while you're healing, God is able to show you strength in you that you didn't know was possible. He's able to show you things about maybe the other person that you didn't even know that you needed to know, but you wouldn't have learned it any other way. Maybe when God is saying wait, he's saying not what you think or what you are assuming for your benefit. He's saying wait just to wait. Like sometimes I feel like as Christians or just people who are baby Christians, sometimes people who are deep in their religion or whatever else, I feel like sometimes when we ask God for something, we say God didn't give us the answer, but he gave us the answer, but it wasn't what we wanted to hear, or it wasn't what we wanted, or he gives us an answer, but we take it and we manipulate it into something that we want. Like if God says, wait, I'm just using wait as an example. This isn't, I'm not saying it like verbatim, like my situation or anyone else's situation. I'm just using this as an example because this is what the pastor said. He said that when God is telling you to wait and you just, instead of you saying, okay, I'm going to wait on God, I'm just going to wait in this season and not do anything. You're like, okay, God is saying, wait, I'm going to wait right here. Then I'm going to go and do this other thing. And then I'm going to change this and I'm going to do this way. That's what you mean, right, God? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do it. Like you thinking of your own story and what it is that you want to do for yourself. You're not even listening to what God's telling you to do. Like if God is saying, I need you to be more committed in the season. You're like, okay, I need to commit to this person. No, he said he needs you to be committed. He needs you to be committed to him. He needs you to be committed to all of the things in your life that matter to you. You need to make a commitment to yourself before you commit to anybody else, is what God is telling you. But you think that you have a, a problem with commitment. But the real problem with commitment is committing to God, or really committing to something, committing to a schedule, committing to whatever it is that you're struggling with is what God is telling you to commit to. But in your mind, you've already thought of what the solution is without listening to God. You already manipulated it into what you want instead of thinking of what God wants for you. I've done this several times in the past. Like, I can't lie. I need to be completely transparent in this moment because I don't want anyone to feel like they're alone. And I want you to know that I'm a human being just like everybody else. And sometimes I will pray to God for something. I'm like, God, one time, like a long time ago, I prayed for this job. And I was like, God, I really want this job. And God was like, no. And I was like, what? I was like, no, but I really want it. And God's like, no. And I'm like, okay. But in the past I was just like, but you're saying no, but do you really mean no, no? Or are you saying like no and you want to like test me to see if I'm really about that life? Like if I'm really gonna turn it down if you say no. So I turned down this job and then I'm like, okay, God, I turned down the job and then they counter offer whatever else. And I'm like, okay, they got a counter offer. God, this counter offer is looking pretty good. And God's like, stay. And I'm like, stay in the job that I am. And I'm in. And I'm thinking, he's saying stay in the job that I'm in. And so I keep praying about it. And then he says, go. But when the pastor was talking today in the sermon, it really made me think about how we can do the things that we want without getting God's answer. When God was saying stay, maybe God was saying rest in this moment. Maybe God was saying stay in the position that you're in life in general. Just stay here because there's a couple things I want to show you. There's a couple things that you need to learn through this lesson, through this business, through this venture, instead of you just changing because you want a change or because something else looks more appeasing. This is something that I need you to stay in. I need you to stay in the spot that you are right now so that I can move these things around in your benefit. And what's funny, you're going to be like, how do you constantly get yourself into these situations? I don't know, but I really need to do better at this. And so, so I'm thinking, okay, God's saying stay, and he says go. And I'm thinking he's saying go to the new job. And I just have all of these bad feelings. Like my intuition is just like, no, don't do it. Whatever you got to do, just don't go. But I'm like, God is saying go. So obviously I'm supposed to go. But I think God meant I can move now in the position that I was already in. Like I can do this and that. I needed to do a couple things with my business. I needed to go do a couple things in life. That's what he was saying go to, not go and leave, but go and prosper. Go and, grow your business. Go and grow your personality, grow your mental capacity, grow your strength. in me, your relationship with me. Grow in that. Go and grow those things. Don't just go and leave. And so I think it's really important for us when we are discerning, when we're talking to God, to really listen to what it is that God wants and not just to manipulate the situation for our benefit, or to sometimes we will meet somebody, or we'll get a job or have a friend or something, and we're just like, God, can I get this job? Or, you're praying about the job and you want the job so badly, and God is saying no. Like, I mean, it might not be a clear no, it might be something else, like go. And you're like, okay, go and take the job. And he's like, no, just go and walk by faith and not by sight. Go and, spread the gospel. Go speak life into people. It could be so many other things, but because that's what we want, we just assume that this is what God wants for us. And we do it in relationships, we do it in jobs, we do it in everything. And then we wonder why. And we want to get mad at God because something didn't work out that God never told you to go to in the first place. I had to pause there because I know it hit some people like super hard, and they was like, "Oof, she didn't have to come at me like that." I'm not just coming at you, I'm coming at myself too. I've done this in the past. This is why I'm saying it. I'm not saying it because I'm trying to like have a verbal attack on someone and just make them feel some type of way. I'm saying it because I'm speaking from experience. I'm speaking from a place of I've been there, done that. And I'm saying it because I'm hoping to help somebody else. I'm not saying it because I want to make you feel badly. I'm not saying it because I want you to feel like you're the only person doing something wrong. I've done wrong too. This is just for you to take a moment. Everybody watching this video, including me in this video, for us to just take a moment and really think about what it is that God wants for us and not just what we want for ourselves. Just because we already made up our mind that we like somebody doesn't mean that's who God chose for us. Just because we made up in our mind that we're going to make a lot of money at this job doesn't mean we need to go to this job. Just because this deal seems like a good deal, if you feel in your intuition, ladies, that something is not right, it is not for you. Don't even try to manipulate it. Don't try to maneuver or switch around, change around, like do whatever it is that you feel like you need to do to manipulate the situation to change the course of things, or whatever else it is that you think you're going to do in your mind. Don't do any of those things. Do what God wants you to do. Really listen to what God is telling you to do. This might be a good time to fast. It might be a good time for you to grow in your relationship with God, and to build that relationship so that when you are talking to God, when you are asking Him things for guidance or whatever else it is, you're not just thinking about yourself. And for me, I know y'all are going to be like, every month it seems like you're doing a fast. I'm doing a fast right now. It might be every month though. Like, whenever I feel like my spirit is weak, or I'm going through spiritual warfare or psychological warfare, or my heart is broken, or whatever trial, tribulation, storm, or if I feel like my spirit is weak, I fast every single time. And it's hard, it's difficult. Like, the last fast, I gave up like all meats or something like that, so I could only eat like beans, and I ate like a bunch of unhealthy stuff as well, but I did not eat any meats at all the whole time I fasted, and I was so blessed. But I wasn't asking for anything while I was fasting. I was fasting because I wanted to grow my relationship with God. And this time I'm not fasting for anything either. I'm fasting because I want to show my appreciation to God. I'm not doing it for any person, place, or thing. I don't care, of course I care about people. Of course I care about, my well-being and other people's well-being. I just want to make this about God, just showing Him my appreciation for like just waking up another day, just for like the people in my life, for the things that He's already given me and the things that He's taken away because He knew it was going to make me too hot-headed, or it was going to make me arrogant or conceited or egotistical. I want to make sure that I am giving God all the honor, glory, and praise. And this is about God. It's not about me. It's not about anybody else. It's not about anything else. It's all about God. And so I'm giving up some stuff. And day one was like Day one, I was like, I got this, I was really talking that stuff. And I was just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this, this, and this, and I can, oh, this is what I'm eating. I could do that in my sleep, right? So I make the food and I didn't put enough lemon in it or something. So I tried to add lemon at the end. It wasn't a good deal. Like it was bad. It wasn't bad. It was good, but it wasn't as good as it usually is because usually I'm just like, okay, I'm just making this for fun. It doesn't really matter. And it turns out perfect. Like this time it was good, but I really, and then when it didn't turn out as good as the last time, I was just like, it's gonna be a struggle. Already, like day one, I was like, it's gonna be a struggle. And then today, one of my family members makes this delicious meal on day two of the fast, and I'm like, 19 days ago. I'm like, but you're so worth it, God. You are so worth it. I really was like, you should have heard me talking all that stuff though. Like, I do this all the time. I'll be like, when I'm getting ready to like meet somebody new, or if I'm like getting ready for an interview, or if I'm getting ready to do a fast or whatever else, I'll be like, yeah, you got this. I got all of this stuff. I'm gonna do this, this, and this. Like, I talk so much stuff. You don't even understand. Like, and then I go like into the situation and all of a sudden it's like a totally different story. And I'm like, really though? Every time I'm like, oh my gosh. Ugh. But yeah, it's gonna be what it's gonna be. Like, I'm gonna really have to be intentional and make sure that it's about God. It's not about me. It's not about anything else. And I'm doing it for God. Like, I could give up 21 days when God has given me my whole life. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like God just only did one thing. And even if he only did one thing, that would be enough. So I have to keep thinking of it like that. This is 21 days in comparison to my entire life that God has given me, the grace, the mercy that he's shown towards me, all of the blessings that he continues to give me in my life. Every time I wake up in the morning, it's another blessing. And when I was traveling today, I saw like the most beautiful thing ever. And I was just like, thank you, God. Like, I just like to look up at the sky and stuff. And I know it's probably weird and some people don't get it, but it really keeps me grounded. And it's like, if I can appreciate this, I can appreciate everything else. Like, this is just one thing on top of like hundreds of other things that God's already blessed me with today. So I just try to take a moment and really take in the scene, take in like the sky, the clouds, the trees, everything that I can possibly see in my vision, because even having sight is a blessing. And so I try to make sure that that's the type of thing that I do. And as I'm traveling back home, it's the most beautiful sunset. Like, the sky is like, it's got the clouds like cold weather, so it's got the cold weather clouds, and I don't know what any of this stuff is called, so do not judge me. But but I see the clouds, and then it's like the pink hue is like in the sky with the blue, and like, traffic is horrible, but I'm looking at the sky and smiling, and everybody else is all frustrated and mad because of all the traffic, and I'm sitting there like this, like, oh, this is so beautiful. And they're just like, if this person doesn't move, like, all of the other people are just like, we're all stuck in traffic, but I'm just like enjoying the moment. Just like, I get to drive from point A to point B. I get to be able to fill up my car with gas, no matter what the price of gas is. Like, I get to go into a job. Some people don't have a job. I get to dress because I have clothes. I have a place to stay. I have the ability to drive myself, and I have the ability to see all of the things around me. So I try to think of it like that instead of, oh, I'm stuck in traffic and I'm never going to get home, because eventually you are going to get home, God willing. So it's always a blessing. And it's just so funny to me because it's always the smallest things that always make me sit there and appreciate life for real. And sometimes I see people who seem like they have everything, but they don't have happiness, they don't have joy, they don't have peace. But it's because God is the only thing that gives me that. It's not because, even if, you know, and I always pray to God, like, God, when you do send somebody, please, I want God to be the center of my life. I want him to be number one, no matter who enters in my life. Like, I want, PMJ said this one time in a sermon. He said that God's the center of his life and everything else just rotates around it. That's how I want my life to be. I want, all of my friends, family members, everything in my life to rotate around God. And whenever something's happening, whenever I have to be my purpose, whenever I'm living life, I want God, whatever it is that God intends for me to do, to be number one and everything else to just follow behind. Because in my mind, I will be the best family member, friend, potential partner for whoever it is if God is the thing that's guiding me. He will be the one that allows me to be patient and loving and kind and understanding and compassionate and to be the type of woman that he created me to be. And without God, I might be a totally different person. I would be a totally different person. So I want to make sure that no matter what's happening in my life, no matter what blessings I get or what's taken away, I'm always putting God number one in my life. And I know that the person that God introduces into my life will be the same way. Like, God will be number one and everything else will just follow behind that. And I hope that that will be what you intend for your life as well, so that you stay grounded, so that he'll be the thing that keeps you centered when everything around you is going crazy or changing or whatever else is happening in your life. It's the one thing that keeps me balanced. It's the one thing that allows me to stay sane in this crazy world, because there's so many things that could have made me lose my mind. And because of God, that's the only thing that's keeping me sane. Because of God, that's the only thing that keeps me grounded. That's the only thing that keeps me peaceful, joyous, that keeps me smiling when I should be crying or upset or losing it. Like, God is the constant thing that never changes. His love for me, his grace, his mercy, everything that he is a thing that I don't have to worry about feeling insecure about. I don't have to feel like I'm missing anything because everything God intended for me, I have, and I hope that everybody could get to that place where they really feel like it's nothing that anybody else has that I will ever want because God's given me everything I need, you know? And so, in conclusion, when it comes to waiting on God, make sure that you are, when you're praying, thinking about what it is that God wants and not just what you want. Yes, you will desire and want things in your life. You'll be attracted to people. You'll be attracted to that job with all of those things, benefits and things that it has. But no benefit is greater than God's benefit, than God's blessings. So make sure that you are staying focused on him no matter what's happening in your life. Make sure that you're not just saying that God said this because you want it. Make sure that you're not just saying because God said go, that means to leave something. That could just mean to go and grow your relationship with him. That could mean to just go to church, so don't just assume. Make sure that you are intentional with your life. Make sure that you know that everything that is yours and nobody else can take it away from you. So you don't have to feel insecure. You don't have to feel like you're missing anything because God will provide all of your needs. And he is the God that he cannot lie. He has blessed me so much, exceedingly and abundantly above all else. And anything else that God gives me in my life is just an added bonus. It really is. So I hope that you get to the place where you desire what it is that God wants. And maybe since I'm fasting, some other people will join me in this fast just to give thanks to God. And maybe yours isn't 21 days, maybe it's 7 days. And then after 7 days, you rest. I don't know. But you have a Sabbath 7 day where you just rest, and that'll be the day you go to church. I don't know. I don't know what day this video is going to fall on, but mine's is 21 days because that's just the first thing that popped into my mind. If I'm being real, that's the first thing that popped into my mind There was a church that I went to that started doing a fast at the beginning of the year. Well, they started on the 8th, and so I decided to go on the 8th because, New Year's Day I ate some different stuff, and so I couldn't start that day. So I had to make sure that I started on a day where it would give me the exact amount of time to be able to like pinpoint when the end date is without having to guess. I think it's on such and such day. That's what I did last time, and I was like, I think I got 3 days, and then I looked and I was like, oh, today's the day. It's not tomorrow. It's today. So it just allows me to keep track of it better. So I hope that you seek God first above everything else in all of his righteousness, so that everything that you desire will be given unto you. I know I said it like that, and you're like, you don't even talk like that. Every time I start quoting the scripture, I really can't not say unto you or thy, thou. Like, I don't know if it's just because that's the way I learned it at that time. And so when I go to quote it, it's just like verbatim. Well, it's paraphrased verbatim. You're like, how can it be both? Because it'll be like the scripture, but sometimes I might not remember word from word. So it'll be paraphrased, but then it'll be like, there will be like a couple words or a sentence that will be verbatim, and there might be like a little extra on the end, but but yeah. So just stay focused on God and focus on what it is that he wants for you instead of what it is that you want, because it will really keep you humble. It'll allow you to just be grateful and gracious and thankful for all of the things that God has done instead of you thinking, oh, it's me. Like, you didn't do anything. You could go ahead and stop believing that today, because let me tell you, without God, I would not be able to do anything. Without God, I would not be the person that I am. And God is the one who creates and allows all of these things to happen in my life. I'm not doing anything but being obedient. That's it. And sometimes I struggle with that. Let's just be real. Like, I'm not saying I go out of my way to be disobedient, but sometimes, like I said in the beginning of this video, there will be things that God's like, go, or something like that. And I'm not being intentionally disobedient, but because it's something that I want so badly, I turn it into something that I think that God wants for me, but really he doesn't want it. I just want it really badly. So, so make sure you just be aware of that. Really look out for that, because that could be something that the adversary uses as well, because you'll know that it's something that you really truly desire. And even though it's not God, you will feel like, well, God didn't say no. But God not saying yes is even as is worse than God not saying no to me now, because I know that what an absolute yes looks like. And an absolute yes feels so good for my soul, and it makes me feel so secure. You don't have to worry about feeling insecure because you don't know if that person, job, or thing is for you. Now you know without a shadow of a doubt that this is what God intends for your life. So stay focused on him, because he will carry you the rest of the way.